Kayfabe Queens. Today we're on the road to WrestleMania once again with some pals. Go ahead and introduce you guys or yourselves.
I am Otis, and this is my future wrestle pal Jeff, and we are some of the, I want to say, founders of of Allentown Presents and all the stuff we talk about, primarily horror and movies and stuff. But we are going to get into wrestling soon. We don't have a name for it, Jeff. We really need to come up with a name for our show.
We really need to have a name for them. Yeah.
Names are hard.
I'm terrible with names. It's like the worst thing. I can't think of a name, but we will be revealing every WrestleMania all the way up until WrestleMania 39 when it's finally going to be back in California.
Hopefully we will have a post-WrestleMania show after we go to that show.
Yes.
Oh, we're going.
So,
yes.
That
manifestation. We're all going.
Oh, that's happening.
Yes, I'm going. So we have 2 years, right?
Yeah.
2 years. So like an episode a month. A few months are going to be like a couple. We got to catch up. But that's the goal. So I'm very excited. I love wrestling. If I'm not talking about scary movies or comic books or video games, it's wrestling.
Music.
So one of the big things in my life. So
I could attest to this. Otis and I work together, so I can attest to this. I gave you a name for your show, and I forgot what I gave you, but it was a good one. I'll have to remember again.
Dang it. You did say it. You said it and you walked out because you were all like, yeah, I said that. And you left. And I was like,
that's how I walked out.
That sounds like L. That sounds like L.
Sounds like Otis forgetting something.
Anyways,
hey, man,
we'll figure it out.
I was fighting a dog. Right there, so.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all good. I'll remember it again.
So we wanted 3 favorites.
We're going to go in chronological order. WrestleMania 17, yes. Stone Cold, The Rock, Epic Encounter. Thoughts, feelings, why? Why is this on our list, guys?
Explain.
Okay, so before we even get to Stone Cold and The Rock, the main event of it, if we could just talk about 17, just for a little bit. I watched that this morning just to refresh myself. That's got the TLC match in it when Edge.
That one. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Edge, Jeff Hardy. Geez.
That one. And Jeff Hardy.
It's an amazing pay-per-view, and I didn't realize it was like the end of like the wars, like with WCW. It was like that. It's the perfect time. They could do anything, and people would cheer and yell and hooray, and that just leads into the match. Stone Cold and The Rock. Probably one of the best promos you will ever see. I'm not the biggest fan of Limp Bizkit, but
that was one of the notes I took. Limp Bizkit.
Oh my god, same. The iconic "It's My Way."
It's my way or the highway. Yes,
but
we all remember.
That song with them just fighting and just like wanting to do a finisher on each other and just sitting back there like, I'm gonna get you one day. I'm gonna get you. It was amazing. And even in the match,
the build up.
Yeah, they both were getting cheered, but it was weird. The Rock was actually getting booed at the beginning of it because everybody's like, we love Stone Cold. And Stone Cold was doing evil stuff in the match. And people were like, yeah.
Eating it up.
They were like confused about it, but it's an amazing match and it makes me happy. I actually forgot how it ends when he goes corporate, and I forgot, and I was like, oh, he went evil.
Me too. Same.
And that in itself created so many fun like backstage moments. So the interaction with McMahon and like Stone Cold and Kurt Angle, and like, oh my gosh, just that time was such a funny it was such a good time. Guitar playing, serenading, and whatnot. All that stuff.
God, Jimmy crack corn.
Oh my god. We don't care.
Yep. Yeah. So he was kind of still a menace. He was still kind of a menace, but now they're allies.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that was such a good WrestleMania. Like it was really so good. Just going back and looking at, like you said, that was that match with the ladder match. It's like, oh shit. Yes. Yup. That was a good one.
That's a top 5 WrestleMania for me. Easy.
It's really good. So good.
I think that's the first WrestleMania I ever saw live. I think. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's up there. It was one of the ones I remember seeing. I had an uncle that loved wrestling, so he would have pay-per-views and we'd come over and I'd catch like glimpses of matches and stuff. But Attitude Era right around then. That was when I was like watching and being excited and seeing some ridiculous matches. Like the women's matches back then were a mess.
That's for another day.
I mean, they got
do you remember the women's title match from 17?
China and
Ivory.
Yep. China versus Ivory. Man.
Yeah. So I mean, they doing cool stuff, but it was just, you know, they didn't give a lot of respect to the women back then. But watching two of the big giants just fight, I forget that Stone Cold isn't as technical as other people. You know, like Will Ospreay, we see him just flying through the air, just floating, just doing cool stuff. And Stone Cold's just like, I'm just gonna keep clubbing you. It's just club.
That's what Becky Lynch is.
He's relentless.
It's still awesome. Yeah.
I equate Becky to Stone Cold, where sometimes they're not the greatest matches, but your feeling and your story behind it, you're like, yes, let's go. I want you to win because you're just not going to quit.
They're good storytellers. They're not the best technical wrestlers, but they're insane storytellers, and they make you feel stuff. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so invested.
That's what I want. I want feelings.
Yeah, very much like Cody. Cody gives you emotion in his matches. That's what he's good at. So
and blood.
He can wrestle.
Well, not everybody. Not everybody. Also, we got like iconic images, like the imagery. Okay, we want to talk about Becky and the bloody face. It's real, like Stone Cold in the bloody face. You know, where it's like blood's dripping all down his face. Like they gave us magic. Really, so much magic.
It's funny. It's funny when they get hit in the head and they're like, "Oh, that was a terrible hit," and you see them go down. They're like, "Ow."
Like, oh my God, that's Randy Orton. He used to annoy me so much when he would do that. He'd be like poking his head all hard. I'm like, Randy, stop! Get him out of here.
See you cutting. You're not doing a good job.
But yeah, no, I get it, but in these matches, people bleed so fast. Like Ric Flair, he cuts himself so fast, and he's just like a stuck pig.
It's a gusher.
Dying.
I'm pretty sure Ric Flair has an immunity to aspirin at this point, just because of how much he took to bleed.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, come on, look at the man.
No, it's one of my favorite matches. It always puts a smile on my face when I see them. Seeing The Rock like with hair, it's weird.
Yeah. They did mention he's like 28. He's like, JR's like, The Rock is 28 years old, and I was like, wow, he was so young.
Oh man, it just made me think of like how thankful wrestlers must be now that they don't have those giant block monitors anymore. And
oh my God,
iPads, because how heavy were those things? Oh my gosh, I'm like, thank God those are gone.
Having to rip those out of the table.
Just like swing it at somebody. I was like, oh yeah, the monitors. Ouch.
Yeah, remember when it used to take 10 minutes to prep a table? Hey, you're going to go through the announce table, but we need a 5-minute chunk here to rip off the cover, rip off the 2 monitors, clear the table.
And you're not safe from the monitors. I remember Randy Orton landed on his back on a monitor. You could just see the pain. I felt it for him, and I was like, oh, you know that hurt. You know that hurt. Don't like it. Don't like it.
Monitor or thumbtacks? Which do you want? I'll take the thumbtacks, please. Just choke your right on the better nails.
Oh,
Lego.
In watching that, there's like a reaction videos to people watching The Rock sell. And we got one of those classic cells, you know, where he just like flips up in the air and
then does like 3 somersaults.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we got that out of that match too, because it's not a Rock match unless you got that.
No,
but, yeah,
no one took a stunner like The Rock. No one.
No one.
No. Oh,
no. He went from corner to opposite corner on a stunner. The length and breadth of the ring.
God bless that man.
Hey, it was needed. It was necessary.
It was. Really?
I wonder if he could still do that with all the muscles he has now.
Nah, he'd rip something.
Remember he tore his grind that one time?
A
couple years back. He can't. He's a little sensitive right now. It's cool. It's cool. It's good. I don't need that.
It's okay. It's okay. We don't need it anymore. We got enough of it. We're happy. We're satisfied.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But
Speaking of enough,
ooh,
I know I was trying to transition, but
Right,
I
right.
I don't know what that transition is. Was that a Ric Flair retirement switch? Because I don't think that was good. But you know,
Yeah, that's what I was going for, but
There wasn't enough woo in
it
there.
failed.
Oh.
Yeah, well, no, see, where you're looking for this. Speaking of people who sell Ric Flair.
Oh,
Oh!
there you go. There
I mean,
it
come
is.
on. Do
There
you
it
have a
is.
Ric Flair match without the classic Ric Flair stumble, faceplant?
Yes. Mhm,
He does that 90-degree perfect angle, just falls.
Beautiful.
With the leg kick and everything.
It's a leg kick for me.
It's a leg kick.
Right, it's got, make sure you hang your foot up. And plie.
So that is WrestleMania 24, right?
Yep,
Yes.
24.
Wow.
That's another, I mean, just talking about WrestleMania, that's another stacked card. I mean, again,
Oh, hey, Bella.
that wasn't even, that was a mid-card match. In that Mania.
It's not the main event.
Yeah.
No.
Not even.
Does anyone remember what
not
the main
even.
event was?
Is it
24?
Undertaker Edge? Is it Undertaker Edge?
Was it that?
Edge with the belt.
Ooh,
Yep.
excuse me.
Edge with the belt versus Taker, and Taker ripping the belt from his cold dead hands.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, there is just no more beautiful moment in wrestling than the end of that match where Rick is just not staying down. And Shawn just goes, "I'm sorry, I love you." Super kick.
I cried again.
Oh, I was crying at that point. And then the 1, 2, 3, Shawn kind of pops up and then just falls back on Rick and like hugs him. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Master storytelling. They're so good at their craft. They have mastered their craft where we're like eating it up out of their hands. It was so good.
That was one of those matches that made me think too. This is Shawn Michaels, maybe a little past his prime. Later career Shawn Michaels. This is definitely way past his prime Ric Flair.
Yeah.
They still put on one of the best matches ever.
They really did. They were so on. They were like, it was like you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know that they were in any pain at all. They were on that night. It was so good.
Yeah, it was 100%. I'm just but that iconic "I love you" moment is just, it's always going to be right there for me. And just the fact that, Rick really hasn't wrestled since. Of course, he's never given up the spotlight because he's Ric Flair, and I'm pretty sure his death is going to be televised. But 50% chance, probably in his contract somewhere. Wouldn't be shocked. But
he's just gonna, and then he's not gonna get up, and then we're gonna be like, "Hey, quit playing, Rick! Come on! Oh no!"
He's finally gonna do that last flop.
No! Stop it! Stop it! He's already dead.
Really? And the ref too is Little Flair. I mean, it was Charles Robinson.
Chuck Robinson, yeah. Good old feathered hair Chuck.
Perfect.
Good hair.
He's one of those refs that he's like, to me, the pinnacle of a WWE ref, just because he is the inconspicuous, not going to get involved, but still solid ref, which I kind of actually hate about WWE and their refs. No, I just hate that, because refs can be part of the story, but the only time a ref in WWE is part of the story when it's like, Mike Tyson. Or, I mean, it's got to be a special guest referee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, I love Aubrey, so that's a whole other story.
We all love Aubrey.
Who doesn't love Aubrey?
I mean, what is it? The father-son refs who were there for Earl
The
Hebner.
Hebners, brothers, too.
The Hebners, yeah.
The Hebner brothers.
The Hebners were great, and they were people you cared about. And even in the Stone Cold Rock match, like Earl's in there, like all up in their faces and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He even fell, and I feel like, and I did watching it over, I saw like The Rock going back and like talking to him because he fell over the stairs, and I was like, oh, he's probably checking on him to make sure he's okay. He's an old man already.
I don't know if Stone Cold like wanted Hebner, but Hebner did a ton of Stone Cold matches because I remember he would chug beers with him at the end.
I think Hebner was like Stone Cold's ref. I think much like if you look at guys like Jericho now, how he has like, in AEW, like Aubrey is his ref. He's said that.
Cody's the same way. Cody always has Aubrey.
Oh yeah. Easy, Aubrey, please.
There's ref you trust. I mean, they're part of the story, whether you realize it or not. They're timekeeping. They're doing all sorts of stuff. So they need to be part. So I think that's why you see Charles Robinson in that retirement match too, because I think he was a Shawn Michaels guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know 100% about that one, but I'm pretty sure Shawn trusted him with his matches. So, but yeah, that match is just.
And Rick's robe. Can we talk about it?
Any of Rick's robes.
Yes, but this is a
That one
special
in particular.
retiring robe. It's like royal blue with the white feathers. I believe later Charlotte at her first WrestleMania wears the same colors.
Yeah.
Family.
Beautiful.
Love it. Love a good Flair robe.
And Rick has one of the simplest entrances ever, but just one of those ones where if you're not expecting that music to hit, you're going to get chills. Because it's Rick. Especially in a moment like that. I mean, I had from entrance to bell on that one, I was in chills the whole time. It was such a great match. But
you're wooing at home.
Yeah, you're wooing at the TV. You really are. You know it's a good match when you're wooing at the TV, or you're like leaping out of your seat when someone hits a high spot. I mean, Shawn dropping the elbow, or Rick locking in a figure four.
We're doing a chop block, my favorite. I love it. Chop block. That is my absolute favorite. See your Ric Flair chop block. I love it.
Yep.
And then the sell from Shawn. Shawn was injured that whole night because of that chop block.
That's true. You got to keep it going.
I mean,
They're vicious.
I mean, have you ever been chopped like that? You can put some stank on it. If not, I'll demonstrate on Otis later.
We personally do the chopping around here. I don't know if you know anything about us, but we like to chop it.
I just like hitting Otis any chance I get, so.
Oh, that's fine.
How many times have I threatened to at quiz come out to RKO you, Stone Cold Stunner you, pedigree you?
An absurd amount. It depends on your intro music. Because if it's the right person, you're like, hey, stand right here.
Just stand right here.
Can you just tilt yourself a little bit? I'm like, stop. Stop it.
And to this day, the only one who's ever been hit with a finisher is me.
Don't kill me.
By the way, just tip for everyone out there, never take a pedigree on concrete knees first. Hurts like hell.
Oh, no, heck no.
Yeah.
Or take a lion tamer. That mess hurts.
I'm okay.
Good. Just don't do it.
Cutting's like, you ever been in a lion tamer? I was like, no. He's like, well, I'm gonna show you real quick. I was like, okay.
Oh no.
Okay.
Well, this is why women live longer.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Oh, 100%.
Anyways, WrestleMania 35. I'm themed out for a reason. Kofimania.
Oh,
Let's
man.
do it. So that's all the feels. This is a lot of feels we're feeling on the show today.
A lot of feelings. A lot of feelings.
Yeah.
So,
and we've kind of felt something like it before with like DB with Daniel Bryan.
That's the
because that we had been down this road as fans before. And it was like, oh, I know this feeling, I know this story, and that's what was exciting too. We're just like willing it to happen,
and it's
collectively.
With DB.
And it's with DB, exactly.
It's
He's the yeah. He knows it's the new Daniel Bryan, that good wood eco-friendly title. Oh, I love that title so much.
I like to call him Bizarro Captain Planet.
Yeah.
It's really, if Captain Planet had an evil alter ego that still believed in the same things, Daniel Bryan with the
Daniel Bryan
run a knee into your face.
I love how Cody was like,
fickle.
I'm gonna get that wood. I love Kofi so much.
That the whole opportunity for Kofi came from, wasn't it Elimination Chamber? Someone got hurt, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the storyline they've been trying to play. That ultimately, and here's my complaint with now coming back to that. The storyline they're trying to play with Ali and Retribution being all up in Kofi's thing because you took my spot. They could have done that so much better. They botched it there. That's a botchamania.
Yeah. But that's kind of just what they do from time to time.
Yeah, they take this great story because, I mean, again, while it's a recycled, like you mentioned, the recycled Daniel Bryan story, it's one of those things where if you've got a guy with enough star power who hasn't reached the top of that mountain yet, it doesn't matter. The fans want it. We want it. We want to see that guy get to the top of the mountain.
We will it collectively.
I can't remember when in his run from Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania where I was like, this could actually happen. Because it's like Kofi's been around since what, 2006?
Probably before that.
Yeah,
something like that. And he's great, and I've always loved him. He's one of those dudes, just like Cesaro, that I've always wanted them to get a belt, the top one. But I assumed he'd never get it. I was fine with that. Well, just like old Zigglypuff, and then he finally got him one, and I was like, hooray! And he got a concussion, and I was sad again.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, there's certain wrestlers where I just accept that they'll never get it, and then it's like, oh, he's going into WrestleMania for the championship belt, and I'm like, he won't lose. He could lose. I could see it. It was that match is so cool. I was at Jeff's place and we were watching it, and all of us were so quiet in the match because every false finish we were like, this is it. Kofi got it, and then it's like 2.5, or he gets pinned. And he, when he hit him with the knee, and I was like, oh, Kofi's not getting up. I was like, this is it. I was like, it's over. And then he kicks out. And I'm like, oh my God. I haven't
You were living and dying with every pinfall. It was great to watch.
Felt that since, I think Daniel Bryan, when he had to struggle through 15 matches that night to get to the end. Like, I haven't felt like I really want this to happen, but I could see it not happening.
Yeah.
And it was great, and I watched it this morning, and I was like, I still felt
the warm, fuzzy feeling.
It was amazing. And Kofi's face when he won, the second he won, he was like, oh my God, I did it. He just yeah.
And that's one of those ones where I wouldn't be surprised if Kofi thought that was supposed to be a false finish. If they had mapped the match to where that wasn't supposed to be the finish and DB was actually supposed to win.
Oh,
according for what Kofi knew.
Oh, I'd be up there crying so hard. I wouldn't be able to talk if that happened to me. They're like,
and I think the other reason that like Kofi winning it makes it special too is we're so used to the Vince McMahon champion, that archetype wrestler of it's the big muscly dude who really sucks on a microphone. Brock Lesnar.
Oh, are you okay?
You okay?
Need some water? Get some water.
I think there's a beast in your throat. Beast in crap.
but then the same, it's Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston, same thing. They are not the archetype that we see in WWE. They are the scrappy guy who's had to fight his whole career to get to that moment, and then they get their moment. And plus, the New Day is just probably the most fantastic thing on a microphone this side of Chris Jericho.
And he had that support system too, with like Big E and Xavier just like pushing so hard for him. And as fans, they were just so helpful in like bringing us together. I mean, like, we are going to make this happen. And you just felt like a part of it. Like, you felt like you are a part of his success now. We need this to happen as a fan base, So it was so good.
Yeah. So it's weird because I'll explain it to Katie, and it was like, it's weird if you count The Rock, and this is where semantics come in, so I don't know how I feel about it. But some people say that Kofi is the first African, like of African descent champion ever. But then some people like, what about The Rock? And I was like, so be the first or second, just depending on how you feel about The Rock. He does claim Samoan heritage a lot. So but it's really cool seeing like his kids come into the ring and his kid grabbed the belt and held it up. And it hit me that I've always cheered for wrestlers, and I'm pretty good at not really thinking that deep into it, but like all my favorites, like white guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you finally get someone like that dude, the same color as me. And like, it's now I understand why that's important sometimes, and it's good to not force it, because I don't want to see just Joe off the street get the championship. I'm like, no, it's just he's a great wrestler. He's got the power, everyone loves him, and it works, and it's cool to see. So I thought that was really awesome. And another fun fact I saw, he is the 6th world champ in history to be African American. That number has changed probably now, male. And so I was like, yeah, Mark Henry, he should have won some more, but I'm not gonna get on that.
There's a lot of guys looking back over the years, especially if you go to those early years. There was a bunch of just studly guys who never went anywhere.
Johnson should have got him something, but I don't want to get into that. But,
yeah.
But it's awesome, and I'm great that the moment popped up, and it was the right moment for Kofi. It was a chance. I don't like stuff being forced down my throat. But it worked, and it's awesome. My girl, I think everybody's girl here. Bianca Belair. We'll see how it goes. But
another manifestation. We've willed that to happen.
That is in the sky. Please, Lord. But
a hard no. I'm still just not a fan of her character.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to get you out of here.
For But even just like Kofi just being unabashedly himself too, and the New Day just being unabashedly nerdy and like just themselves. They're not a stereotype. They're not being told to act a certain way. They're just being themselves. And even just anybody who's like kind of just into nerdy things looks at it and goes, yeah, these are my champions. These are the people I'm rooting for. They really, it's kind of like the argument of Big E can't ever be like, taken seriously because he's always so goofy with New Day, but it's like, it's possible. You don't have to be like a Brock Lesnar to win, You
can be a little bit of everything.
You can be a little bit of everything.
Big E, powerlifting champ, giant nerd. Also, so I'm going to annoy Otis here and stick in my Xavier Woods story because he's still mad at me about this. So we were at Comic-Con, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
And I was just walking the floor, and everyone else in our group was at panels, so I was just walking the floor hanging out. And so a little backstory. We have a tiny child's plastic WWE champion belt. We bet on all the pay-per-views. And it changes hands. This is pre-COVID times, but we and the belt would change hands. But we also got the belt signed by anyone we could. So it's got It's got Becky's signature on it. It's got
Ziggler,
Kofi,
and
there's one more.
I was gonna get Scott Steiner, but he scared me.
But Scott Steiner's a scary man.
I didn't bring it up to him.
Scott Steiner, man.
That's a scary man up close.
It just so happened because we knew there were a bunch of WWE people. We were carrying the belt around with us at Comic-Con, and I had it in my bag. I'm on the floor at Comic-Con, so imagine 10,000 sweaty nerds and all the, vending booths. And it just so happened I'm walking. I kind of look to my, knee to 3 inches off my shoulder. I look at this guy, and it's Xavier Woods. And I just kind of look at him and go, what's up? But he was browsing all of these booths, and he was obviously ordering some stuff. It's like, I don't want to bother him right here, right now. It's like, I just kind of gave him a what's up. We kind of cross paths again 10 minutes later, in a different aisle. And I'm like, man, I should stop because here's the nerdy side of me. I was going to be I wanted to ask him about his PhD thesis because he has a PhD in education and I'm a teacher and I wanted to talk to him about nerdy education stuff. But I'm like, he's enjoying himself at Comic-Con. He's obviously trying to be a little incognito right now. And Otis and Otis looks at me and goes, "You didn't get the belt signed," and I'm like, "I forgot I had it."
I sure would have been like, "Hi."
You would have just been like, "Please sign."
Here's a pen.
And I had the pens and everything too. So that's my terrible. One day I will get to meet Xavier Woods and actually get to tell him that story. Maybe he listens to it.
WrestleMania 2023. Yeah. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sure
and I'll just get myself on an episode of Up, Down, Down. Yeah.
Oh.
Get my butt kicked at something.
That's a goal. Can we be an Up, Down, Down?
Yes.
Okay,
do you guys play Animal Crossing?
What is it
island?
I know exactly what I would play. I want Xavier to find Snowboard Kids from the N64 because that was my shit.
That's so cute.
It was a good game.
Aww.
Oh, look at the nostalgia goggles.
I think he'd respect that, honestly.
Oh, he would.
Oh, for sure. That'd be really fun.
Xavier, if you're watching, you're not watching.
Hey, you never know. Like we always say on our podcast, if you're listening to this.
Right? You never know. You never know.
Join us.
But I think you're right. I think Kofimania gave everybody the feels. Everybody was crying. That WrestleMania is perfect. Honestly.
He was like our Goku. We were, and he had the spirit bomb, and we were like, "Hey, take
Right,
our energy."
please.
But it took still like 45 episodes, just like a spirit bomb.
Yeah, it did.
Wasn't that the WrestleMania where like all the good guys won?
Mm-hmm. We got everything we ever wanted.
Because Seth
They
kicked
gave us everything.
Brock in the dick.
Mm-hmm. That's how it started. And it was only up from there.
Yeah. Oh, that was a
wait.
good one.
Except Hogan was there.
I don't remember the
well.
card.
Can't have everything nice.
Can't be perfect.
I guess it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Kurt Angle lost to Baron Corbin at that Mania.
Oh
yes, that speaking of retirement matches we don't want to talk about.
Anyways,
carrying on.
Oh, that hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
Ouch.
That was amazing. We love Kofimania. We love wrestling in our
We
fields.
love Kofimania.
And we loved having you guys on. Where can we find your show? Where can we talk about spooky movies and wrestling and et cetera, et cetera?
Where are y'all at?
On the Twitters, we are at Allentown Pod. Our email is allentownpresents@gmail.com. And on Facebook, just Allentown Presents. Very soon, this month, 100%, there will be at least one episode. Jeff and I, we're going to get together. We watched the first two WrestleManias, and we were like, oh, God. You know, you got to get past the first 7. And they start getting, top rope maneuvers back then were off the second rope, and it was just a max handle. There
were a few off of the top rope. Just the problem is you actually fear for their safety because the ropes were all jiggly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get there, but I have friends. There'll be tons of guests. I know Al, I forgot which number you said you'd hop in.
I have a whole list. Well, 17 is one of them. 19.
I have a whole list.
Yeah. Everyone's
These
welcome. All are welcome. But I have friends that said when you get past the first, I think 10 is when Stone Cold pops up. He's like young Stone Cold. I think around 10 or 11. And then I have friends that are like, I'll be on that one. Just get past Hogan and then I'll hop on. So
once we get to like the early mid 90s, basically.
Yeah.
Once we get through all the whole of the 80s.
Yeah. So that will be coming out very soon. I'm very excited about that. I've been wanting to talk about wrestling for a while. COVID kind of made me a little depressed about the whole WrestleMania podcast show.
Well, also because we couldn't actually get together for our normal pay-per-view rituals.
Yes. So I was very depressed wrestling wise, but things are getting better. So I'm very excited. So yes, please give us a listen and give these ladies a listen. They're amazing. And they have one of the coolest intros ever. So very jealous. They have a song. So we'll have a song then.
Otis, we've tried to make a song. The only podcast we had a song for was my music podcast, which currently still has 2 episodes.
Yep. I mean,
I haven't recorded more because I'm lazy.
I love making 8-bit songs. So we will have a song. I have writer's block right now. So but one day we will have a song.
We'll be looking forward to it.
Yes. We've been on your show. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have you back on there. I think in Christmas we're gonna watch what's the one with Goldberg? Santa Slay. We'll watch that mess. And then we'll watch the Miz one.
We have to talk about that because I watched it one day. I seen it.
Yeah, we'll watch the Miz one. So we'll do that.
For the people. I watched it for the people.
Yeah.
For you.
Did it for the Rock.
I did it for the Rock. It did it for the clout. I didn't do that for the clout. All right. Amelia, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Daft Pansy, on Instagram as well. I might unprivatize it. I don't know yet. I really don't care about it that much. But that's about it. How about you, Al? Where can we find you?
Oh, me? You can find me on Instagram at Al__yeah and on Twitter at KayfabeAl. Find the show on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Kayfabe Queens. Amelia's going to figure out Twitch for us soon.
I will at some point. I will. I need to get a monitor. I was foolish to think I didn't need a monitor. I need a monitor.
We'll figure it out. And as always, we get us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on YouTube. Subscribe, give us 5 stars, and we'll be back on the road to WrestleMania very soon. Bye.
Almost there.